Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Take the Pictures podcast, a podcast where the goal is to learn stories that you would never learn in a typical conversation, because a lot of times we take our pictures, we put them on Instagram, and we forget about them. You get to put that one day you get 100 likes, and that's kind of where they go to live. So we're going to, with this podcast, try to resurrect some of these pictures, resurrect some of these memories, and hopefully get some cool stuff that you maybe would never hear before. And we're joined today by the one and the only Mark James, the king of all stories. And I'm excited to have you on, Mark.
I'm excited to be here. This is sweet tea, by the way. I never drink sweet tea, so it's always like a special occasion. So I use this really cool glass that my wife made for me. She like
Yeah.
etched my little
Etched Brute logo.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. But it's tea, by the way. I'm not like getting
It's not whiskey. That's what we did for when we did the 69th episode. I just grabbed all of the whiskey I had from the cabinet, which wasn't a lot, and I got like a ginger ale and kind of sipped that like in retrospective. But sweet tea,
Oh yeah.
still all good, just the same.
I don't really partake in the drinking much anymore. I'm into more herbal remedies.
Yeah, that 70 show.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy watching or at least listening to that segment.
Yeah. Yes. I realized that that's an inside joke from another podcast. So
I know what you're talking about. So
yeah,
I caught it.
Yeah, that 70 show is a cover word for something that I wouldn't want my mom to know that I do. So we'll just leave it at that.
My mom knows. So. It's whatever.
We've never talked about it. It's kind of like that unspoken thing. But yeah, this is taking the pictures. The concept is I ask a guest, and I've asked Mark to give me some pictures that he wants to talk about. And we're going to go through each one. We're going to kind of hear the story and kind of, in hopes of with this is instead of just talking about that picture, where we'll talk about that moment of life and like some of the way that you've grown through the years with each of the pictures. So we have all these pictures. I've also picked some pictures that Mark doesn't know about that I'm going to ask him about. And I think that'll be fun too. You have a lot of pictures.
I've been doing a lot of stuff. I'm 43.
Yeah.
And I've been on like social media since MySpace. So imagine all the pictures that I don't have on like Facebook or anything from before all that shit.
Yeah. MySpace, like I got in right at the end of MySpace. But like MySpace was a different beast for those who don't know, because you had like all the HTML code, you had your songs, like you could like put your heart into your MySpace page. Did you have any special backgrounds or like any kind of thing, or was it just a standard profile?
Oh no, I had a whole website. It was impressive. I did a whole div overlay deal.
Yeah,
like did highlights of matches, and I had my blog area, like logo in the background, all that stuff. Man, it was.
For those who don't know, Mark is a wrestler. So we'll be talking a lot about wrestling today. But I never thought about MySpace and the wrestling scene. How big was MySpace back then, as far as like promoting and?
Oh, I mean, it's like it is now. You know what I mean? It's like Facebook. You still shared things and had blogs and everything.
Yeah.
It was more like written, and I don't really know how you like grew on anymore. Honestly, like it's been so long. You just did, and it's just from using it. Now I remember when Twitter started out.
Yeah.
And was a big thing, and I used. Especially like we'll get into it with some of these pictures, but around the Power Pro time frame, like 2008, 2009, I was getting big on Twitter and using that a lot. I just burn out really fast on social media. Like it's just not a thing.
Yeah,
I only do it for wrestling mostly, or like acting, or like something work related.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but my wife hates that about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't put it in the family.
Yeah, I use it for that, and then I just like posting dumb videos, like dumb, like I like it's got to the point where like my wife, like she can tell when I want her to film something, and usually it's in public, and usually like there's just a dread in her eye, like It's like, I'm not filming you doing this. You're gonna have to figure it out on your own. She did it
You're
last.
you're very Jack Black with your content. It's always random, but like
Yeah,
it's the life of being with a creative person
yeah,
that there's sometimes you just have to do that. You know what I mean? Like
of
that's
course.
just part of it.
Yeah, like, and it's just like stuff that I find funny. Like the one I posted like 2 nights ago. I don't know if you saw it, but it's just me with a bowl of chicken nuggets and garlic bread that I put in a bowl because I had too much That 70s Show, and like, but yeah, like very,
I
very
saw that. All right, I saw that on TikTok, and I saw a comment that was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
yeah. That person followed me though. They followed me. So what did I just watch? But also, how can I get more? Which I think
Yeah,
is my aesthetic and kind of what I want to portray about myself. Um, but you mentioned the pictures, and that is kind of the point of the podcast. So let's hop right in.
I'm the worst about. That's why the irony of me being on the show is
Yeah.
that I'm terrible about taking pictures with people, and then on top of it, like I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 18. Oh man, we're gonna
Oh.
start here. All right.
We
This
can move
is
around,
a good.
but
Uh, but like I didn't have a cell phone
yeah,
for years, and then I definitely like I wrestled. I didn't even bring a camera with me. So my first like 10 years of my wrestling career, I don't have
yeah,
video. You know what I mean? And then and what I do have was horrible, and I try to get it all off YouTube. But anyway, so yeah, the irony is like, and I also came from the generation that you were a mark if you wanted to take pictures with people.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So like it was looked down upon in the locker room and all this stuff. And I only did it because like my parents asked me to take pictures.
About the first like 10 years of your career is kind of like not there because
Yeah.
it wasn't really cool back then.
Well, yeah, and like I couldn't afford a camera. Well, I
Yeah,
probably could, but I didn't. Like I had more important shit to buy. And wrestling didn't really pay anything. So it was you were hoping you get stuff from promoters or like
yeah,
there wasn't like ringside photographers or like backstage photographers and shit. And
yeah,
there's so much content now. It's great. But
yeah.
anyway, I was lucky enough that this picture exists and to really get into it. Okay, as you can see, we're being escorted to the ring by some ladies that work at a restaurant uh, called Hooters.
Yes, from Birmingham,
And
Alabama. It looks like.
no, actually, this was in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay, just a
Actually,
weird top then.
yes, but yeah, this was in Fayetteville. The guy right there is my fucking man. Like this dude. His name is Moses Manson. He's the reason I'm wrestling again.
Yeah,
But we can get into that later. But yeah, this is the only time he ever managed me. And it was literally in front of like 5 people at a
yeah.
Hooters. So, but and I don't know what the fuck I was wearing. Like
I
I
was
was.
about to say that. Like,
It was just a singlet I got on eBay. It was a total identity crisis at the time.
so at what point in your career was this?
This was probably 2008, 2009. It was in between things. Like I was trying to get out of the old Sticks deal and get into a Mark James gimmick, but I didn't. Like again, I just never spent money on wrestling.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I had a family, I had shit to do. We had things that we had to take care of. It was more important. So like I always tried to get like basic as fuck, gear or whatever. But like the Mark James thing, when I finally got into it, I tried to take it a little more serious. Um, I don't remember where I got that singlet. I know it was like an eBay thing, and I got another one with it that has turned into the like traveling singlet of the Indies, and I wish we had it. It was blue. I think I sold this one to somebody too. It was probably Huckabee. Um, but so the thing was, I would wear a singlet for whatever, and then Huckabee wanted the singlet, so I would give it to Huckabee, and then he would wear it for whatever, and then he would be carny and sell that shit
Yeah.
to somebody else. And the one in question went from me to Huckabee to Tim. And if you see early pictures of Tim, you'll see him in a blue singlet with like a
Yeah.
black like triangle type thing. So it was all the same time period that I wore these singlets. So I was trying to like come into a new character at the time, and like a little more of me instead of like the sticks thing that I was doing for years.
Yeah.
And it was just terrible. But this match was really cool because this match was way better than it should have been for a Hooters parking lot in Fayetteville. I can tell you that. It was me against Trevor Lee, who is now Cameron Grimes, and Ty Tyson is the skinny guy in the black. Who at the time was like the ultimate athlete. And we did a three-way, and we went nuts, man. We did everything for nobody, for no pay in a Hooters parking lot
at 1:07 p.m. for those listening, which this is really what you probably want to watch. But I'll put all, for just to preface, I'll put all of these pictures on social media. So follow us at Take the Pictures Pod everywhere, and you can find these pictures. But yeah, this is. I will say that first picture, the photographer did not do you any favors.
No, not at all.
Like it almost looks like you're a dad that's like wearing like an old school like 1960s like swim trunks, and you're just like like somehow you got like ended up at a wrestling event.
Oh yeah, I like snuck into the side doors.
Yeah, facial hair is definitely a good thing for you.
Yeah,
but
I grew up really well into the business, man. Yeah. But it was one of those things. Like before this, I was wearing. Oh fuck! I had like UFOs on, and like, and if you don't know, UFOs are like parachute pants for
Richard,
basically. So like I wore like red UFOs, and I had like a tank top on, or I had like Superman shirts because I was doing the whole sticks and everything else. So this was me trying to like look like a professional, and so I started going to a lot of seminars. Like I really took wrestling serious when I was, back then, trying to get this done, and then going through my divorce, like I really jumped into wrestling hard. It was safe space and this was in that time period. But this was also the time period that I was hanging out with Moses Manson a lot. We were drinking bottles of tequila and watching a lot of FMW in Japan. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring this picture into this, because Moses Manson was probably one of the most creative guys I've ever met, and one of the guys that I've like been through and booked. He and I booked a ton of stuff at Power Pro together for like a good year. We were knocking that thing down until he had to go to Oklahoma, and unfortunately, I lost him a couple years ago. But it's funny. The whole time I was out of the business, he would call me up and he would say, hey man, I got this opportunity for you down at Wilmington, because he works at UPWA down there. I work there sometimes, and I've been talking to Brower, and he wants to bring you in. We're gonna do this and this and that. And I'm like, I'm good, man. But when he died, like people started reaching out to me for like tribute shows and things like that, and to do stuff for him. And keep in mind, like when I met him, like I met this dude. He was working. We were both at Ring Force Carolina, and this was when like Casey McKnight or Dax Harwood was there. This was Zane and Dave Dawson were there. Trey G, the guy that trained them. Nightstick Eddie Brown, Hangtime, Manson, and I was just like working my way in. So like I had just moved from Greenville, North Carolina, down to Fayetteville, and I was running the restaurant down there. So I worked my way in through the restaurant as like a sponsorship thing. Like, hey man, like I know you got a show. If you guys need to feed the boys, I got you covered. You know what I mean? Just put over my restaurant. We'll be good to
Yeah.
go. And that's how I met him. And then, we get there and we start talking and they ask me about stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a worker. Like I've trained here and I've done this and all that stuff. Like they didn't, again, we didn't have fucking YouTube back then. So it's like, it's not as easy to do all this without like some of these social media advantages and things like that. Like you just had to go and meet people back in the day. So, but that's what I did. I actually did a spot with Sean Cruz, where I was like delivering wings there, and they put me over real big. But Sean Cruz and I actually did like this little spot ring, to put over the restaurant. Okay, so we did the spot with Sean and everything else, and then they kind of brought me in. I did a ring announcer deal for him one time, and it was literally like whatever I could do because it was the only local promotion there, and I needed to work. Like I wanted to do something locally. As usual, I didn't have a lot of time to travel because I ran like 2 restaurants and I worked like 118 hours a week. So like wrestling was literally just I need something so I don't kill people.
Yeah.
In the shoot. Anyway, so I meet Manson there, and the first time I meet him, he gets thrown out of a show that he was working on.
Yeah.
Because he like complained about his family coming in or something like that, and something happened with security. So that was my introduction to him, was him blowing his shit in the locker room, losing his mind, and then getting thrown out of the show. So I didn't really have a high like thought process of him at first, but then he comes to Power Pro Wrestling with my tag partner at the time, this guy Tito Ring, and we would travel from Fayetteville to Carthage, where Power Pro was located at, and Manson just jumped in the truck with us.
Yeah.
And again, my only thing with him was him losing the shit in the back. Like I didn't see him in a great light at the time.
Yeah.
So we go there and we're working on everything, and I see what he has to do, and he's real over the top, and I see him putting himself over all the time, and like kind of not getting his guys over and everything else. So as we're coming back from the show that night, he's talking about trying to get in Power Pro, and I bury because it's me, and I'm an asshole, So I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. We got a lot of managers, and we need guys that are going to put their guys over and not worry about getting themselves over in the process all the time. I was like, it's really, really more important for you to focus on your teams that you're representing.
Yeah.
More. And we just tore down everything he was doing. And he hated me for a while. But then we like respected each other. You know what I mean? Because it was one of those that I didn't pull any punches with him. He didn't pull any punches with me. Like we were just going, we would just say whatever the hell was on our minds.
Yeah.
But we would get it done, and we would come up with really cool ideas. And ran a lot of really good stuff in the state. He pulled off the first like women's first blood match in North Carolina.
Oh wow!
Booked this whole angle with women at Power Pro. It was Jesse Jordan and someone else. I don't know. It's probably on YouTube. I would book like the tag angles and stuff like that, and we would just watch a bunch of Japanese wrestling and drink a couple bottles of tequila and figure it out. Took for like 6 months. It was great.
It's awesome. Yeah, that definitely sounds like the way to do it, because then you don't have to worry about like continuity, because it's there from start to finish. And I'm sure the tequila added a little bit of extra spice. To go back to this picture, I am curious as to what this woman is doing over here in the corner. There are 6 people there.
The orange shirt in the background.
Yeah.
I think she's coming from where like the trailer was and everything else. So I think she was like part of the show.
Okay.
Or at least part of the crew for the show or something.
Yeah. So
there definitely wasn't any like customers. There were a few inside, but I don't remember a lot. Yeah.
So we've got this. We have your match with
It's Trevor,
Yeah,
Trevor Lee
Ty Tyson.
and Ty Tyson. Ty Tyson was managed by Samantha Starr, or Miss Starr now in the
Yeah.
NWA. She's doing really great things. Awesome. Third generation wrestler.
Yeah.
I worked with her a lot when she was first getting into it. Also, her and Baby Doll, because I used to drive Baby Doll around for a while.
Yeah. I've heard a few Baby Doll stories.
Probably. I don't. Most are. Some are fabricated. Some are probably really true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she's an interesting person. Let's put it that way. We spent a lot of time in cars together and talking about stuff. She's got some different outlooks on things. So
I feel like if we were to go down that rabbit hole, we would never get off of this podcast. So
no.
Go ahead and go to this next picture. I don't remember exactly what it is, so we'll both find out together.
It's bad enough that I'm gonna. Oh man, this is cool. All right, so it's bad enough that I'm really long with it. I'm gonna talk about a lot of it. This is really simple, man. I'm gonna introduce the people from left to right. Left is well, I guess my left. Like I'm looking at the pictures. So the guy on the left with the hat on is me.
Yeah.
This was probably 2003.
Wow.
Something like that. This is the founding group of Just Cause Pro Wrestling. You see that sign in the back. Just Cause Pro Wrestling was my first wrestling organization that I ran. It was 2003. The purpose of this was, and we'll go from again left to right. Me in the hat. Daniel Smith. He's a referee. He's out of Raleigh too. I'm trying to get him with UPW. The guy in the middle
introduced me to it. DCW.
Yeah, same guy. The guy in the middle is a guy named Greg Ragland. He's an old friend of mine. I met him through the UWC, which was the organization that we actually broke off from to start this organization. But not because there was any heat, although it did lead to heat between me and the promoter because I didn't put my money into his place.
Yeah.
But I had a purpose in this organization. That's why we started it. Anyway, the guy to the left, I guess.
Next
my right.
Yeah.
The next guy is Ben Hardy. Ben is probably one of my oldest friends. I met him when we both worked at Papa John's Pizza. Another thing that you'll notice with me is a lot of people tend to hate me at first.
Yeah.
And then they get to know me and we become good friends. Especially back then. Like I was very abrasive. I fucking couldn't stand people. But anyway, Ben Hardy, old friend of mine, former roommate, we still talk. Trying to get him to come to UPW show. He's a big Hoovy fan, so I think if I can get him out to the Cinco de Mayo show, that'd be great. Yeah. And then the redheaded guy, all the way on the end, is a guy named Ron Mills, and Ron works some of the ESW shows still with me, but very sparingly. He doesn't do a lot. He's also the guy that owns like a couple of Ric Flair's robes and a lot of like Harley. Like he does all the NWA stuff with Flair's robes and stuff like that. He's got the Starcade one. He's got like boots and it's a whole museum. And we're standing in the ring from WrestleMania 2.
Okay.
Or one of them from WrestleMania 2. Actually, I bought that ring from Ken Doane, Kenny Dykstra, and from the Spirit Squad. Ken,
yeah. Yep.
His brother. And they got it from Killer Kowalski. Greg and I actually drove from North Carolina all the way up to Massachusetts. Picked up that heavy ass 20 by 20 metal fucking ring. It was huge, stupid heavy, and put it into a moving truck, moved it down to North Carolina together, and started that company. And the point of the company was really, I wanted to do some charity stuff. But like everybody in wrestling was doing charity shit back then, and it always looked like such a work. Like I never saw the charity actually making anything off of it. It was just like, oh well, if we make anything after whatever, then it's yours. You know what I mean? And it always turned out to be a work to like use the charity's name to get your shit over. and I hated that. So we started Just Cause Pro Wrestling, and I put like I got a decent amount of money one year. I don't remember from what, but we got some. I think I took out a loan and bought a house, and that's what it was. And I had some extra there, and I wanted to buy a wrestling ring. So we found the ring and everything else, and we started JCW. The first thing we did was with Vietnam Veterans of America out in like Hope County, and we ran the show out there with them. It was during like a monsoon, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Got Brad Hunter and uh, who was the friggin' name there? Oh, I can't remember. I gotta go back and watch. But Brad Hunter was on it. He was doing a lot of stuff with WWE at the time. I was terrible back then, but I was on it. We had some guys that couldn't. Oh, Conan was on it, I think, and somebody else. We had some people that couldn't make it in because of the weather and things. But anyway, we did that stuff. We did another show for like Relay for Life out in Greenville, North Carolina. I had George South and Bobby Eaton was the main on. Oh, no, sorry. George South and David Flair was the main on that one. Bobby Eaton and Brad Hunter was like the semi, which is like, again, this is back in like 2003. So you see George South now.
Now, yeah.
Right. Just imagine, like 20 years ago, George South. He could move like way better, and he still did the same shit, obviously. But it was like the way everybody sees George now and the way we saw George back then is very similar. Like he hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was just really cool to have him on the show, and then Bobby Eaton on the show. Just being able to become friends with Bobby through this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was just incredible. Like Bobby's one of the best people I've ever met in the wrestling business. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Like just the kindest, like man. Yeah, I don't know if you ever got a chance to, but man, Bobby was fucking great. But anyway, all because of this and this group of guys that we all we got together at my little fucking duplex one night and was like, hey, let's start wrestling promotion. And that was it. That's JCBW and the staff.
So WrestleMania 2 ring, does that make it more expensive or?
I picked it up for like $2,500, man, because it was old as shit and was rusting and like needed a lot of work and everything. But yeah, we got it for $2,500.
You should like take pictures with the WrestleMania 22 ring out in front of it, a la the Ric Flair robes.
I never wanted it for that. I actually brought it down and I set it up in my front yard for like a couple weeks, and we trained out in it and did all this other stuff. I ended up like replacing the wood in it and stuff like that. And then I ended up selling it when I got divorced. I kind of just got rid of everything. And this guy, Vinny Bain, the guy that trained me, actually, he bought it. And he still has it, as a matter of fact. As far as I know, I haven't heard that he actually sold it. I heard he was thinking about it. But as far as I know, he's still got the ring. So I could go see it.
Did you make a profit on it?
No, I sold it in for what I got.
Okay. Typical Mark James.
Yeah, man, and probably less. I don't know. Money's not a big thing. I like money. Don't get me wrong. Like I understand the need for things and like how it makes this ridiculous world go round.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't long for it. You know what I mean? I long for experiences. I long for services. And like, I like being able to do things for people, and people, in turn feel like they can do things for me.
Yeah.
And it's a good world when you have a bunch of people that are willing to do stuff like that together.
Yeah. I think that's well said and well put. So, how many shows did you guys run here?
We ran 3 shows, and then I took a net loss of like $4,000. Okay. And my wife was like, "You're not running any more wrestling shows." So here was the thing: we drew really well. The ticket prices were probably a little low for what we overspend it, right?
Yeah.
But the charities always made money, and that's all I cared about at the
Yeah.
time. Like I figured I could make it back. You know what I mean? But what I spent in advertising for the shows is what killed me.
Yeah.
Trying to do TV ads, like we were running 2 ads on like Raw and like an ad on SmackDown back then, and then we would have ads on well, WCW just ended, so we would try and do like an ad where ECW was going or someone, whatever was on at the time. And then TV was so damn expensive back then. Like it was like $1,800 just in ads, ad revenue space for television to get played
Yeah.
between ESPN and USA and whatever else. And then you do radio advertising on top of that. And my goal also was to pay everybody. I didn't care who they were. Whatever they did at the time, they're getting paid. You know what I mean? Even if it's $20 to the ring guy, you're still getting $20. Like at a
Yeah.
minimum. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, no matter what, whoever's coming in you're getting like $40. And again, this was back in 2002. Like 2002, 2003. I'm trying to do things differently.
Yeah.
Back then, and it's finally happened. it's finally coming true.
22 years later.
Yeah.
Another pattern. I'm hoping this next one we're getting some more facial hair. I'm glad you finally found the beard, but like I said, I don't know what this next photo is, so we're gonna go and let's see what it goes. Oop, maybe not. There we go.
I still didn't have the beard then.
What's that?
I still didn't have the beard then.
Yeah, it's okay though. I feel like there's enough in this picture to distract. That's not Mick Foley, right?
No.
Okay.
That's Dick Foley.
Oh, okay.
That's the infamous Dick Foley.
Why?
He ran Power Pro Wrestling. Like he was the guy.
Yeah.
He did all that stuff. Jimbo is his name. And then the guy up front next to him is the guy in the blue shirt. That's Solomon Spade, and he's now an actor, doing like some pretty cool movies and stuff like that. So you may see him in some really cool films soon. There's a Hispanic dude above Jimbo.
Uh-huh.
His name was Giancarlo.
Uh-huh.
And he's the guy. He's the reason I met my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get into that later too. But him and Trevor, the little dragon guy in the mask up front. So that's Trevor Lee, also Cameron Grimes. And they were a tag team at the time. And then there's so much going on in this picture, man. But this is powerful. Oh, you see Mike DeMine all the way up in the back.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Moses Manson there. This is I think the last night that Manson as a matter of fact. This is the last night that Manson wrestled at Power Pro. This is when he went to Oklahoma. And we just did a no. This is a fan after the Fans Bring the Weapons match that him and Foley did.
Yeah.
They did a whole thing. And had a Fans Bring the Weapons match. We had a TLC. This is a Spring Fling show.
I think I've seen clips from the TLC. That was with Trevor as well.
Yeah. That was Trevor and Justin Duke and his partner. I can't remember his name right now. And Giancarlo.
Yeah.
Trevor were a tag team, and then me and the guy up all the way in the back with the tie-dye shirt on. That's Tito.
Yeah, the Doodley Boys.
Yeah, the Doodley Boys. The guy in the black shirt next to Manson, who's all bloody. Manson's all bloody, holding the plaque. The guy in the black shirt next to him, that's Trevor Lee's dad.
Okay.
Yeah. That's he was part of Omega, actually. Tracy, really, really good dude.
Who is the guy in like the I can't tell if it's a devil or a dog mask right above Trevor?
Devil or a dog mask. Oh, that's that was actually Solomon Spade's like tag partner or manager. His name is Jester. Actually, it was like a clown
Uh,
get up. He's actually the reason I won the heavyweight title in the night. If it weren't for him, I would not have won the title. So we did this match, the Suicide Steel Chamber match. Okay,
uh-huh.
is what we called it back then. Again, this is 2008. If it's offensive, sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the name of the match. And basically, Manson and I again were drinking a bunch of tequila, and we watched some FMW, and we saw War versus FMW, and they did a War Games match just in one ring,
Uh-huh.
with weapons or whatever. So they would do the staggered entrances and everything else. Well, we came up with this idea that it would be just this crazy ass match that you had to be in the ring to win. You know what I mean? Like it was elimination. You had to be in the ring to pin someone, but you can go anywhere you wanted, right? There was no limitations.
Yeah.
You had to be inside the cage at the end of it. We also had the fans choose the order that wrestlers came out, which is a fucking horrible idea, but we did it. And it ended up having 3 heels come out first, and then me, who was the first babyface put into the match. So I got my ass kicked until the next guy came down. But then it like really worked out. Like we almost booked it because my tag partner came down, and the other guys that were in the ring were the other tag team in the match. And then it really just like the fans just happened to pull out the names in the order of like the different angles that we had going.
Mm-hmm.
So it worked out, but it was like it started off really shaky.
Yeah. What do you do for like the just people hanging out in the ring?
What
Or
do you mean?
were you the first person?
Oh, it was you would just sit in the back and wait till like your entrance. So you would what?
If they're the 3 guys from the other team were first, right?
Yeah.
So
what did I do?
Or like what did they do? Just like hang out in the ring for like 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was not good.
Yeah.
They just kind of hung out. But the thing with the fans are so into it, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, they're probably talking shit and kind of.
Yeah, just getting major heat, and then my music hits. You know what I mean? Like they pull my name, and we were big babies then, so it didn't like they didn't care. They're like, "Oh shit," Dubba Ray Dukley is coming down, whatever my name was.
Yeah.
And we were getting into it. So like I had to figure out how the fuck I was going to do this because you don't just jump in the ring with 3 guys.
Yeah.
Luckily we could use weapons and things like that. So I grab a chair and kind of, stutter step my way into it, kind of wasted as much time as I could till they jumped on me. And then thankfully my tag partner came down and worked in the match. But the reason why I ended up winning the title is Jester was the GM of the company at the time. And at the beginning of the match, like the heavyweight title was in the match, but it wasn't on the line. I think Scrap had it. I think that's what it was. Scrap had the title at the time, but it wasn't on the line, right? But he said it was on the line in front of the crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the match is now for the championship. Like it just is. And that was it. And I wasn't even supposed to win. Manson was supposed to win because this was like his big going away thing.
Yeah.
But we just did a tournament for that heavyweight title, and we couldn't vacate it again right after that because Manson couldn't win the title. He was leaving it. He's a fucking manager. He's not a wrestler. So what are we doing? You know what I mean? So there's like so much on the fly booking going on in this crazy ass 10-person match that we're having in one ring, in one cage. And like something happened to me where like I didn't get eliminated. And it was going to come down to I was coming in to do a heel turn on Foley at the end of the match. And when I did the heel turn, I was going to leave it so Manson could win the match at the time. That was the booked finish, right? But the title's now on the line. So as I was like injured or whatever, I got taken out of the match for a little bit. It got down to Foley and Manson, and they're doing their thing. And the spot comes up that I'm supposed to come in and turn on Foley and turn heel, which is the night I met my wife, by the way. Well, actually it was the night she saw me,
Yeah.
and I'll get to that story in a little bit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as I come back into the ring for my spot, I pick up Foley and I'm just about to hit him with a spine buster. And I'm like, hey, I've got to pin Manson because we can't have a non-champion.
Yeah.
And we're like trying to pass these messages. You know what I mean? But we couldn't make the decision on the fly in the back because it's Foley's organization.
Yeah.
And like he had to approve it.
Uh-huh.
Right. But the booker, the two guys that booked everything and the owner of the company were all in the ring. So we're like, we had to talk about it in the ring.
Yeah, yeah.
And sort the whole thing out. Well, it ended up I beat Manson for the title, which he called me a bitch for. He hated me. Still to this day. He's like, that was my moment, motherfucker. I can't stand it. But yeah. So I ended up I wasn't supposed to win the title. He actually like manifested it, I guess.
He's got a plaque, so
yeah, Manson got a plaque out of it. And then the next week I did the big heel turn. I wrestled Tito no, I wrestled Scrat in a really fun match for the heavyweight title, like the next show.
Yeah.
After all this. And I ended up having a really cool title run with myself and my tag partner, like against my old tag partner, because I went out and did the whole singles thing.
Yeah.
And then he came out at the end of Scrap's match, and he actually like put me over real big, and then went like he was cheering with the crowd, like he was excited for me, and then he pulls me in for the spine buster. And when he did, I think I sent you this picture too. It's the one with like, it's really blurry, but it's got back.
I don't think that one made the cut.
Oh, it's fine. But anyway, like the reason I sent that to you was I tore my MCL there.
Yeah.
So I just won the title, and then he did that, and I tore my MCL and my PCL the way it landed. And that was literally the night I met my wife, because I went to instead of going to the doctor after the show, I went to Andy's. And she was there and started talking shit to me. And then and that was it.
Yeah. For those wondering, this is what Mark looked like through this whole time. Was there more like, because like you've got what was it, Dick Foley, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the Doodley Boys. Are there any other kind of like similar?
Everybody said Scrap was, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, but he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like everybody said he was a Junkyard Dog thing, but that wasn't the case.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Foley did that. We did the Doodleys things for probably like 6 months.
Yeah.
I despised it the entire time. And it was fun. The only reason why I really liked it is because he just let me say whatever I wanted to on promos.
Yeah.
And you know how I enjoyed that. Like I could curse in the ring. I was the only guy that can get away with it, because he told me, he's like, I need you guys to do a Dudley gimmick. And I'm like, well, that's fine. But if we're doing it, like, especially ECW Dudleys, like I'm doing it fucking right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do Bubba. I'm going to be a fucking asshole. I'm going to be the guy that starts riots. I'm going to curse out the fucking people in the crowd, beg them to come fight me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy. And it turned into a baby gimmick. I don't even fucking know how. No.
Do you remember like something that you're just like, I can't believe I just said that in a wrestling ring?
I'm sure there were times, but I don't remember what I said. Yeah, I'm sure there were things. It was more people coming up to me afterwards and was like, dude, I can't believe you just said that. And I was like, I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I said to one lady that her daughter should have been a blowjob.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. That was the night I turned heel. Again, that was my wife called her best friend or like texted her best friend while I was in the ring after I turned heel, and she's like, I want that one. Legit. Like she did that during the heel turn. We didn't know each other at the time.
Yeah.
And the reason why I knew her through Giancarlo is that they were friends and I thought they had a thing going on. I still give her shit over it, but they didn't evidently. But anyway, yeah, they were friends, so she would come to the shows with him, and then she saw me, and she started coming to the shows for me. And it was a thing after that. But yeah, all because of me turning heel that night, which I didn't even turn heel. The fans wouldn't let me.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go ahead.
While the Doodley Boys may have been something you despised, there could be a world where you never were the Doodley Boys. You never meet your wife.
Yeah, I mean, butterfly effects and all, man. You never know. Yeah, totally weird. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I always say. Yeah, again, I was married before this.
Yeah,
so like if that worked out, I would have never met her. Or if I never got sent back to North Carolina in the Marine Corps and stayed out in California or went to Japan, like everything could have been different.
Yeah, but this was more fun than if.
Yeah, man. Like I think about stuff like that all the time, and how like certain decisions have led me to where I am in my life. But man, without them, where would I be?
Yeah, I was married once before, and it's like difficult of a situation it is. Like without that situation, you wouldn't be where you were today. So in the end, it's ultimately worth it.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, it's a weird way to say it, but yeah.
It is, man. Well, we ended up Tito and I, we ended up doing like a good like 6-8 month program there at Power Pro on top of the thing. We did a cage match. I did like a moonsault off top of the cage. He hung me like over the top rope, hung me with a bull rope one time, and especially since it would not have gotten over well if I did it to him.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I had to be baby in this whole thing. Yeah. Like it just didn't work. First, the fans didn't let me turn. Plain and simple, they wouldn't let me do it. Like I turned. Foley was the biggest baby we had in the company. I turned on him. Should have put me there, right? Got me. No, it didn't. They cheered for it, and I was like, oh fuck. Now we got a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when I worked scrap, they cheered for me there, and we're like, well, fuck it, I'm staying baby. Yeah. And we turned the whole thing and had Tito turn on me. And then we ran things. He kidnapped my mom.
I remember you telling me this on your like first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on YouTube also.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man. We did some really good shit at Power Pro. Again, 2008, 2009, running bi-weekly shows for 2-3 years out of a well, at first it was in Carthage. Foley did it on his own. Him and some other guys were running it at the fairgrounds in Carthage for like a year and a half. And then up at in Sanford, we had a movie theater we ran out of, and we did. What's that?
I said I've just seen pictures. It's really a cool venue for wrestling.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we ran Ustream, like pay-per-view shows, live stream shows every 2 weeks out of there through shitty like DVR security cameras. Terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of ahead of the curve. Look at what GCW is doing. They're doing bi-weekly shows, albeit all across the country, but they're streaming it on a little bit better cameras. Speaking of cameras, this is a shitty segue. I'm just going to go to the next picture. We'll see what it is. This next picture, it went right into this one. So this is you and Tito. Then we've got this one, which the only thing I can really make out in this picture is it's amazing that with how pixely this is, you can still see the lazy eye.
Yeah, man.
Gonna get me canceled and like disrespecting the elders, but I'll say it.
I don't know. It's I mean, he makes jokes about it too.
Yeah.
So this crew was pretty funny, man. All right, so this is me and the guy next to me in the black hat. That's Tommy. Tommy Penarelli. He was a Power Pro trainee, but he's actually one of the guys that was helping train for Robert in Georgia for a long time. Like he was one of the guys that was training at the school there. He trained with Robert for a really long time. So he's the one that got me and Dice, the guy above him in the white shirt.
Yeah.
That's Roland Dice. He and I were Power Pro together. And the guy on the other side of Robert is is a guy named Thomas Warren, or Big T. He was kind of the money guy in this whole group. And the guy in the shirt with the seven on it, I could not remember his name, but holy fuck, he was hilarious.
I bet.
He was a guy that was like just there with Robert, like they were friends, and the stories the two of them told, and I wish I remembered all of them other than the one about the glass table. Wish I didn't remember that one. But what's that?
I just said yeah. If you want to share that, I'd love to hear it, but
I don't. It's I think WWE actually did like one of their the animated ones where they have people tell stories. Animated. I swear they did one on that.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Anyway, so but yeah, we were working shows for Robert Gibson down in Myrtle Beach on like Thursday nights.
Yeah.
In front of no crowd at all. Man. But yeah, I got to work Robert Gibson and Charlie Dreamer, who's as close to Ricky Morton as you're gonna
get.
Yeah. On Iddies, and we got to do that for like 2 months straight on random ass Thursdays, driving down to Myrtle Beach for little to no pay, but I didn't give a fuck because I was working with Robert Gibson and like learning tactics,
being in the ring with him.
Yeah, like it was whatever. I didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I was going through a divorce. I had nothing else to do. I had like no job. I had no life. I was feeling sorry for myself.
You fit right into Myrtle Beach, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. My brother lived there too. It was like super easy. I had a place to stay anytime I wanted to go. So it was really cool. But yeah, this was at a bar after one of the shows. And we played pool, and Robert told a bunch of really bad stories that were, funny for 80s wrestling, but nowadays probably not so great.
Yeah. I can only imagine. Is that guy next to the number 7, is he a full-size person or is he crouched down?
I'm not sure. I think he's crouched down.
Okay.
I think I feel like he would stick out to me more if he was a little person, because I like little people.
Yeah.
Like I see them a lot now, way more now than I used to actually. There's like 2 or 3 of them that I work in the same area they shop in all the time. But yeah, man, no, I think I would remember that. Very similar to Callie, to Trey's wife.
Yep.
But I don't watch all the shit. So
yeah. I've seen a few episodes of Little People Big World and not missing much.
Dude, I'm all right. So you want to talk about like missed opportunities and taking pictures and missed opportunities real quick? All right. So I went to a micro wrestling show like years ago back in Winston-Salem at Ziggy's. And the guy that ran the show gave me his number, and he was out of Houston. And he was like, dude, I want you to call me because I want you to jump into this stuff and work out with it. And I could have worked like on a tour with like micro wrestlers, and that would have been like dream. You know what I mean? Like super cool shit. Huh?
I have a question of what that would look like on a nightly basis, but I can imagine.
There's a guy, Livid the Clown, who's also Austin Shadows, Jackson Shadows.
Yeah.
And he's probably like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. But he works as like the world's biggest little person. And he's involved in a micro wrestling tour. And that's all he does. He comes in as like the giant, and he puts over all the little people, and he gets paid stupid money.
So in this scenario, you would have been the Washington Generals to the little Harlem Globetrotters.
Hell yeah, man. I'd have done it all day.
That would be awesome.
I'd have been happy. One of my favorite matches is like the King Kong Bundy and all his little guys against like, it was like Hillbilly Jim and his little guys.
Yeah.
At the Mania, like any matches like that were always some of my favorite as a kid because they were always so fun. Like it could have just turned out to be this big squash match, but the bigger guys always worked really well with the little people, and the little guys really like everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
And the matches were always super entertaining. So I love shit.
They had on MLW recently, or they might still have him. His name is Microman. He's a luchador.
Oh, really?
He's like, I think a little person would say he was little. Like he's like smaller than your average little person. And I don't know why this is the second podcast that I've done where we've been talking about little people.
I heard it. Well, I heard it this morning listening to your podcast earlier, and
Yeah.
this happened.
Yeah. But basically, like it's just them, just like it's lucha style. So it's just them like just moving him like this so that he could do the moves and just like pick it up and like kind of. It's something. Yeah. Let's go on to the next picture. Maybe one day you could tell some Robert Gibson stories off air.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that off air.
So this next one, it's giving Hacksaw Jim Duggan vibes. Walk us through this.
This was for Worldwide Wrestling. One of my mentors, this guy Johnny Lightning, started a promotion. This was actually in Wilmington, I think.
Yeah.
Wilmington that we did this. And you'll see I'm wearing a blue PT shirt that says 3rd Battalion on. That's from my time in boot camp, Marine Corps. And the flag obviously is the deal. So I was wrestling the guy, Ken Dick, I think his name is. He did like a Grand Asuka character. And it was like this whole Great Muta game, right?
Yeah.
This by the way is the only time I've gotten sprayed with mist, and I don't know if it was just like he has like bad stuff going on in his mouth or what, but it was the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life, and I would never do it again unless it's like Tajiri or Muta himself.
Yeah.
Like never once would I do without taking this again. But anyway, so we had we worked out a deal with the MBR at Jacksonville at Camp Lejeune to give tickets to 100 Marines that were there during whatever time that they were there. So they're pretty much right out of boot camp.
Yeah.
Right. But they're always looking for really cool things to do for Marines. Get them off a base, get them somewhere safe that they can have a good time, entertain shit. So we ended up doing a thing there. Well, I knew this, and again, Marine, right? Like I was at Lejeune. I was in the rig there, but I was at Lejeune nonetheless. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be perfect because I'm wrestling a Japanese guy. I'm gonna be USA through and through. So I come out waving the flag, got my boot camp shirt on. They saw the shirt, lost their fucking minds. Like
I think there's a picture of it.
Yeah, right? That's the whole group of Marines back there. They were like, that was right when they recognized, oh, he's one of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy because the first time we worked down there, I worked teal.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of Marines down there, and I could turn them just the opposite because I know everything that pisses Marines off because I was one. You know what I mean? It makes things easier. So I did everything the opposite of it. But this one I was working baby. Way more fun, dude. Because again, like being part of the Marine Corps, you get to entertain all these kids that are coming in that are literally volunteering their time, for this country.
Yeah.
Man, it's really weird. I've talked to a lot of people in a lot of other countries about military service, and they talk to me about how like the people in America really like their military are the true heroes. And the reason why is we're the only country in the world that people volunteer to go do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. We're the only place that like we're volunteering to keep our country safe. And yeah, a lot of times they get sent on stupid missions from rich people that don't give a fuck about anybody else. But still, like a lot of the people that are going in for the right reasons. And or they're just kids that like can't afford college, and this is their way to do that, or they just needed to get out. Like I needed to get out of where I lived. That was it. Like I needed to get the fuck away from Sanford, North Carolina. So I joined the Marine Corps to get as far away as possible, and they sent me to California for a couple of years, which is pretty cool. So but anyway, this match was really, really super special to me to be able to go out there and entertain these guys and gals in the Marine
Yeah.
Corps and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
man, that place was loud. It was awesome. Really
Also
good.
looks to be the first appearance of the beard.
Yeah. This was right when it was starting. Actually, I think this was like probably 2013, 2014, something like that.
Yeah.
This was after the Power Pro days, and I was working at the gym. And the reason the beard actually came about is we did like a No Shave November thing. I already had a goatee
Yeah.
at the time, but we did like a No Shave November thing, and then I just liked how it looked so much, I just never shaved it. That was it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the baby beard.
Another one of those like small things to where now like the beard is like part of your logo and like it's a part of your identity and your character. And
Yeah,
no,
I couldn't shave.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I was in really great shape back then too. Jesus.
Yeah. This looks like a fun. Also, are those zebra stripes on your pants?
Yeah, they were black and they had silver and black. I don't know if it was like zebra stripes, but it was like wavy kind of stripes. My wife wears them now. They look great on her. Way better.
All right, let's go to this next picture here. I like that we're somewhat keeping on a timeline. It wasn't purpose. This is a couple years back, but this is I'll let you tell what this picture is.
This was the year what was the year Mania was in Atlanta?
It looks like 2011 was the date of this picture was taken.
Oh shit. Yeah, this is right. My bad. All right. So yeah, this was 2011. This was Power Pro time frame, right when I really started getting serious about stuff.
Yeah.
You'll see in the front is Pac.
Yeah.
Over there, and all the way to like in the orange shirt is like a very young boy, Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, I could pick those two out.
There was God, I can't remember his name. I stole one of his moves. The really super fast guy. It'll come to me anyway. Yeah, this was the Dragon Gate USA seminar. This was right like the week of Mania. So I went down to. This is the only Mania I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I went because somebody bought me a ticket to Mania. To be honest, Tommy did. Tommy Penrod. He's in the picture. Yeah. And he wanted us to come down and do this thing with Dragon Gate, and they had a seminar down there, and we got hooked up into that, and had an opportunity to go work there. So it was really cool. This was after the seminar. Obviously, we nothing really came out of it. I guess I ran wires for the camera for two of their shows down there, Mercury Rising and another show that they did with Evolve at the time. No, Dragon Gate USA at the time.
Yeah.
And Gabe Sapolsky probably knows me best as the guy who was couldn't pull the wires fast enough out of the way during a run-in that Rich Swann and Johnny Gargano was doing. So they ran down the aisle and I didn't see them running, and I went to I was moving behind the camera with the wires, and one of them was just sticking up too much, and I think like Johnny's foot kind of caught it and yanked it out of the camera, and so we lost that camera for the rest of the show. And they were not happy with it.
Yeah.
But
can't imagine they were paying you that great.
There was no pay for it. No, but it was cool though, because I got to meet like that's where I met like Moxley, and I met like Brody Lee, and I met like Gargano and Rich Swann, guys like that, like just super talented guys.
Yeah.
And Pac and like just being considered to possibly be they had a spot that they were looking for like two extras.
Yeah.
And it was a spot that like Sammy Callahan and Eric Cannon, I think, got together as the Dumb Ugly Fucks was the name of the faction. Like that was the night they came together. And it like Sammy Callahan came in the ring and grabbed these two guys and like gave them a belly to belly, overhead belly to belly, right? and they were looking at people they could do the spot with. And Pac comes to me, he's like, "Dude, I would totally put you in this thing, but you're way too big. I'm like, I can't have Sammy do this to you." So I'm like, "Well, fuck. All right." So I missed my opportunity to be there because I was too big for this spot.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
A reverse butterfly effect.
Yeah. I've never been told I was too big to get a spot at a wrestling show before. Especially back then, like 2011 was not the time that usually happened. But Dragon Gate USA, like a lot of the guys were smaller.
Yeah.
This was like pre WWE Moxley. This was like when he was still kind of defining himself and did like really, really good promos, but was big into like all the hardcore shit at CZW and everything.
Yeah.
And it was right before he got signed. This was when like Matt Hardy and Reby first started dating.
Yeah.
Like, because they were at the show and they like were just doing spots together. She was still in wrestling a little bit before she like took off as this like really author influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I met like Jason Ayers. He refs for WWE. He gave me we got a running joke about him giving me like a Dragon Gate USA shirt to run security.
Yeah.
While I was there. So it's not a funny joke, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, again, like I wish I would take pictures, with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me, this is a guy that I've respected for years, and it's a guy that you should try and get on your other show, is this whole event. Every time, because I would have to follow the camera from the ringside, and it would go directly to the back, right where Gorilla was, and it would do a promo in Gorilla, and they would come back out of Gorilla and go back to ringside for the next match. So we had to keep running that thing. And there was a guy that was sitting in Gorilla because they didn't have a monitor in the back of the back right to watch shit. There was one guy the entire fucking show. And he sat in Gorilla the entire fucking time and watched right out that apron. Now, obviously staying out of the way, disrespectful. But Suge D, Sugar Dunker.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
I've got so much respect for that dude as a wrestler and as a talent, and like where he came from as a guy who was looked at as a comedy guy, starting off in like Shakara and stuff like that. Yeah. From back in the day, which is where I really first started seeing him a lot, was more in Shakara and stuff. But man, to where he is now, like, oh my god, just an amazing character. Yeah, man, Suge D, he sat there all night. And before that, like I was at a Ring of Honor thing at a show there, and I watched him, work as an extra during that show and like tear the ring down. And like Suge was already a guy that I thought was already there. Like I thought he already made it. You know what I mean? Because I was watching him on bigger shows than I was doing at the time. So I looked at him as like a name. And anyway, like total respect for that. I'd love to work him. He's actually on my list of guys I would love to wrestle.
Yeah, I was really bummed. You were supposed to be on that Let Wrestling Live show that happened, their first show.
Yeah,
I was really looking forward to being able to see him wrestle. So love to have him on the show as well.
He's such a cool dude. Really, really good. Sorry.
No, you're good. So we're gonna go to. I think this is the last wrestling picture that you have selected, and it's a picture of you with somebody I'm sure we all can kind of recognize. I just want to start by asking. That's not Taz, right? The guy on the right.
Oh God, no. The guy on the right there. Well, I don't remember who that is. I can't really see it very well.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a mix between Taz and Michael Hayes.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea who that guy is. I know the guy to the left of him is Martin Guevara. And then the guy, you can see Kendall Williams, his little vest there.
Is that Michael Devine over there?
That is maybe. I don't know. Probably. It definitely could be. I can't really see him very well. It's a small picture.
So we've got Harley Race here in a neck brace, probably outside of the ring in a gym.
We were doing a seminar. Harley came to Wilmington before one of the Worldwide Wrestling shows, and they did a seminar with him there, and then he was picking the people that would wrestle in the show. And I had a really terrible match during the seminar, which is a thing for me. And I didn't get a chance to work on the show that night, but I did get some really cool feedback from Harley. And then this was actually the first time that we met.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple other really cool occasions where I was able to like sit down and interview him for like an hour. That was probably a horrible interview. It's not a great interview. But anyway, I got to sit and just shoot the shit with him for like an hour one day.
Yeah.
And then he watched some other stuff I did, and it was supposed to be like a gala, like a thing for Jim Cornette, like a big like, thank you Jim Cornette thing. And but Harley was there, so it turned into everybody putting over Harley, and then like talking a little bit about Cornette. So it was really like a big tribute to Harley Race.
All right, so you had the opportunity to kind of learn from Harley Race. And we're going to jump right from Harley Race to something probably is a little bit more important with this next picture here.
Yeah, man, this is the whole reason why I do everything I do. That's my wife, Rhiannon, and then our daughter, Noelia, and our son, Chris, down there. And that's actually like a really like sentimental like waterfall, I guess, for us. Rhea and I used to go on these dates. We would like chase waterfalls back in the day because we're broke and we just wanted something to do.
Yeah.
Gas was cheaper at least, and we could just go for a drive and like have a picnic on the side of a mountain or something like that. So we found this place out in like towards the Cascades, somewhere. And it was always our little place to kind of go hang out for a while. We started bringing the family there, but this is one of the last times that we all went out there as a family.
Yeah. Is this this picture from the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
So
but the reason why I put this in here, man, is like I don't really talk about a lot of personal stuff online, and I tell you a lot of things about my wife because like she's such a creative force in a lot of things that I do. And like my kids are there and they're like really inspirational. My daughter's old enough, like she gets it.
Yeah.
And she gives really good tips from fan perspectives for a lot of like the wrestling stuff that I do. But like overall, man, like I'm not the person I am without them. Re found me at a really shitty time where I was again I was going through divorce and lost everything and really was just drunk and feeling sorry for myself all the time. And my wrestling at the time was more kind of fuck the world attitude. And it wasn't safe. It wasn't healthy. I was just really in a bad place. And I was like staying on the guy's couch after all this. It was like literally just wrestling to pay bills, whatever at the time, and just traveling. I didn't have many bills, so we would just travel on the road. We would, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and head to the next town and do whatever. But yeah, man, she found me and it took me like 8 months to realize I was in a relationship, but once I did, it turned out to be one of the best things I ever did. But yeah, man, she saved me, and I felt like if I'm gonna have something that talks about like pictures that mean a lot to me, then I've got to put her and the kids in it, and nobody in the world means more to me than they do.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great way to put a stamp on your end of this podcast. Now we're going to be entering in mine. These are a few pictures that probably don't have the same sentimental value. We're now going to enter the part of the show I like to call Daniel's Picks. And I stalked your extensive Facebook library of pictures, and these are what I came up with. Some of these I'm going to roast you on. Some of these I have questions about. Some of them are right in the middle. I have one where I'm going to roast somebody else. So, but we'll start off with this picture, which I thought was kind of fun. Just walk me through this.
This was at CWF Mid-Atlantic. This is me and Trevor Lee, Cameron Grimes again.
Yeah.
And really, all it was like everybody was doing plank videos and stuff like that on social media at the time, and he had this idea that we should like do a lockup and then do a plank out of the lockup, and that's what we did. It was just a dumb thing.
Yeah. Still a fun picture. Cool gear, I must say.
Thanks. My first set of actual like handmade, like personalized gear, made by a lady named Jade, who was the wife of one of the guys that trained me also. But yeah, my first set of gear were those. It was the logo was actually stolen a little bit from a Michael Jackson album cover.
Yeah. Wrestling feeling, so there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Yeah, we just adjusted it a little bit for me. You know what I mean? Made some changes and things like that, so it wouldn't be like totally rip off. But that's where it was inspired from, Michael Jackson.
Well, this is probably the one that I would least gonna roast you on. This next one I'm gonna bring up. Who is this guy? Is this Fryer gimmick? Like I don't know. This picture. So for those wondering, this is Stick for Mark James. Not really why I brought this up. What's this fella's deal?
All right. So this was how I got into Power Pro. This was my tag team partner at the time. This is one of the Carthage fairgrounds pictures. But anyway, his name, this is the best part of it too. You didn't even know this. And this is going to be the best surprise for you.
Yeah.
His name is Gluteus Maximus.
That's amazing.
Yes. He was a Roman character. He did a Roman gimmick, but that was his name, Gluteus Maximus. You're still a good friend of mine. Still, he's the guy that was take me back and forth from Fayetteville.
Yeah,
and actually was the guy I initially went to the restaurant with the night that my wife and I finally like started dating, and then I left with her instead of him. So, but yeah, thanks. I think it worked out.
How did that tag team? What was the story behind you as a team?
I was a man for hire back then. Very kind of similar to what I am, what I could be now. But I was just a man for hire back then. I was just a mercenary that people would, pay to secure whatever they wanted to secure. He was the great Roman emperor, Gluteus Maximus, and he needed a partner to, I don't remember. It was a really weak storyline, but it was a way for me to get into the company. So
yeah. That answers my question and more.
All right. Hold on. One last really, really cool thing about this that I have to share. Okay. Glute was the guy, the last match my father ever watched me wrestle was against him.
Oh, cool.
So that's a really, like, he has a very, very important part in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah. I think the theme of this episode are kind of like, what are the odds? Like that these small little things, like I had no idea that this person was like, that would bring this story out. So kind of the theme of this episode. Next one, I don't feel like we're going to have the same connection with. What's going on here?
This was, again, I was doing like a man for hire gimmick. This was me after like we did a run in.
Yeah.
But I wore my singlet under that getup, and it was just a dress shirt that I was soaking wet in because I did a bunch of wrestling and it was hot as fuck in the place.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was it. That was just
that's what I thought. It looks like you were late for the show, like you left your job and didn't have time to change.
Yes. No. My gimmick, my character actually wore like dress pants and like the singlet. It was like a very Mr. Hughes, but white guy.
The white Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, the white Mr. Hughes thing. You know what I mean? Back then, the man for hire guy. So that, and again, it was just a way to get into the company, and it was terrible, which is why they talked me into doing the Dudley's thing, because he's like, you just don't have an identity right now. Like we need to figure out who the hell is Styx, who is Mark James, and a lot of that I attribute to Dick Foley. Again, like he may have had a rip off gimmick or whatever, but the guy was really really smart,
Yeah.
and like he was really big in the character development, and really big in the production, and a lot of the stuff that I know now and that I throw out about, when we have talks about like production stuff and whatever, is
Yeah.
because of stuff like that. So I give a lot of my, probably Power Pro was one of my best times in wrestling, not including now.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know.
Well, a little bit more significance than I thought. This next one's a straight up roast, and I'm sorry I have to do it to you. I could have had more photos to add to this, but for the size of the screen, I could only include 2. But
also Power Pro time again. Like I had, all right. So Baby Doll made me these pants, like, and it's like puffy paint and like bedazzled shit from Walmart or whatever on there that says Sticks and has like a spider web and everything else. And I just needed a shirt that would like match it. And again, it's like 2008, 2009. So I would go to places in the mall and find these really weird, random shirts with like designs on them and shit, and wear the hell out of them all the time. And they made my arms look really good, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what and those were just random promo pics, I guess, back in the day.
So I think I feel better because these were assumptions like these is just like mark out on a night on the town.
No. There was a time though when I was in the Marine Corps and the guys, like, we would go to Palm Springs, and for some reason we felt like we should wear like these club shirts that were like super tight, and like some were like see-through and mesh and shit. It was terrible.
Yeah. Let me bring that back.
I didn't have cameras back then, so.
What is this thing behind you?
That's a chair.
Okay.
Don't ask. I have no idea. It was just there. And again, I didn't think about shit. Like, it was just, wrestling was so different now than it was back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
Chris Downey available to kind of make you look like $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was no ringside photographers. There was no guys that like really understood photography and wrestling and things like that. This was, us with cell phones, and we just needed to get a picture.
I like it. Well, even this had a little bit of significance. I feel like that might be a theme of this podcast is no matter what the picture is, there's always going to be a story behind it. And I appreciate you joining me for this first inaugural, what do they call it? Flagship episode. Is that like the
inceptional episode? Yeah, man, this was really cool. I think there's really more to this of like some of the pictures that you randomly pick.
Yeah.
Than it is like some of the pictures that they send.
Yeah.
Because I had more fun in the anticipation of like, oh, okay, well, what did he randomly grab?
Yeah, I think that could be a good kind of note, like moving forward, maybe like 50-50, or like we alternate, like you do one and then I'll do one. I think that's a good.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. But anyway, man, this was a totally really good time, and we missed Suzuki and Adam Copeland. So hopefully it's working.
Yeah. That's the one thing about doing these podcasts is I never get to watch wrestling anymore because Wednesday is always a record day. So, but hey, you make sacrifices for the things you love. And I hope everyone that's listening and watching this, if you're listening, go to Instagram to check out the pictures or go to YouTube to see the whole episode. But yeah, thanks so much. Follow Mark James. It's at Real Mark James on everything, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try and keep it easy.
Yeah. And if you ever want a t-shirt made, he's your guy. Yeah. He can do it all. If you need a tasty cake hookup, he's also your guy.
Got you. I'll bring you crimpets, Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, how do you eat your crimpets?
So crimpets I eat straight up, but the peanut butter tasty cakes, those got to be in the fridge or the freezer.
Okay, so question though. All right, so do you eat it icing up or icing down?
Oh, I don't think it matters.
It does.
Does it?
Yes.
What is the correct answer?
I think it's icing down
because it's connected with the taste buds.
Yes.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're just getting mostly cake and then some icing on the back end. I like the sweet up front.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, it's worth it, man. Give it a shot. See if you like
Okay. For those who don't know, Tasty Cakes. There's been Tasty Cakes in the store, but they've been the dog shit Tasty Cakes. They've been the Tasty Cakes that are trying to be Little Debbie when they've got their own arsenal of yummy cakes. And for some reason they're finally starting the way to make their way down south. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
so Crimpets, there's like a peanut butter cookie one, peanut butter cake one that's good. Those are my personal favorites.
Candy cakes, yeah, I like those a lot. I deliver those on a regular basis. But yeah, look, I feel like if it was good enough for ODB, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, sure.
And he talked about Tasty Cakes in this song. So
yeah, I'm hoping that this is going to be the ODB of podcast. So if only. But yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me tonight.
Yeah, man. Thank you.